We continue within Ozen's chambers, where she brings the children before the large white cube known as the curse-repelling vessel. Anything placed within this artifact, living or dead, is shielded from the curse of the abyss. However, it has another somewhat ominous ability: the power to grant life to whatever's placed in it. Turns out that the strange cadaver-type creature that chased Riko the night before was simply a piece of meat that Ozen placed within it as an experiment. We find out that Riko didn't survive her birth, but determined not to leave her child behind, Liza and Ozen placed the baby into the cube on their way back to the surface. And to their surprise, a few days later, the sounds of a crying infant was heard from within as Riko came back to life. Ozen is cruel in her description of Riko, referring to the little girl as a reanimated piece of meat. As the white whistle continues to antagonize the girl, Marok pleads with her master to be kinder, while Reg, having had enough of this, attacks the woman before them by wrapping his extendable arms around her. The white whistle easily unentangles herself and then slams the robot boy's body into the ground. Riko rushes to her friend's aid, only to be effortlessly swatted away. And as she lays unconscious, Marok desperately runs out of the room to find help. Reg prepares to unleash his cannon on her, but doing so could completely destroy the entire base camp. And as he concentrates on controlling the amount of power unleashed, Ozen grabs hold of his hand and points it towards the unconscious Riko. The robot boy whips his hand around just in time to avoid Riko, sending a blast through the roof of the building. To Reg's shock, he sees that Ozen's body is entirely covered in powerful modifications that give her the unbelievable strength she possesses. Riko eventually wakes to find her friend beaten up and at the mercy of the white whistle. And as she weeps at the thought of losing Reg, Marok returns to the room with a bunch of adventurers who turn out to be Ozen's subordinates. Turns out that the white whistle's attack and cruel words were but a ruse intended to measure their current capabilities. We get a quick flashback to the past where we see young Liza, the exact mirror of her rambunctious future daughter, filled with enthusiasm as she stands before the more than 50-year-old Ozen. Though she's been punted away twice before, the little girl is absolutely determined to be Ozen's apprentice. And over time, Liza climbed the ranks of adventurers to become a black whistle. And as the episode comes to an end, we watch as the now bandaged-up kids follow the white whistle into a nearby forest where they're confronted with another test, as they must now survive 10 days within this place. The survival test begins in earnest as we watch the two little explorers make their way further into the dark forest. They find themselves before an enchanting body of water filled with luminescent bugs on its surface. And as Riko excitedly stands before it, some of the bugs part from the surface as a dangerous and aggressive hippo-type creature emerges from its depths and launches itself at the unsuspecting little girl. Reg quickly extends an arm towards Riko, pulling her away from the danger in the nick of time. And with that frightening warning, the pair approach their survival training with greater sobriety, gathering enough branches and leaves to eventually build themselves a small shelter. A few days pass by, and as Ozen and one of her subordinates keep a protective eye over the kids' progress, we see Riko and Reg come up with a plan to get the better of the hippo that's been harassing them from the start. The kids use dung to attract the beast, and when it falls for the ploy, the little girl blinds it while Reg, perched in a nearby tree, uses his arms to hoist the creature into the spiky bark. 10 days eventually come and go, and as the pair shuffle towards the base camp, Marok spots them through her telescope and excitedly lowers the lift. Absolutely spent from their training, Riko falls face down, only to spring back into action when food is mentioned, as we later see them enjoying a well-deserved meal with Ozen. Through Ozen, we learn that at the lower levels, time flows differently. The white whistle believes that within the deepest levels, time may move in such an abnormal way that years on the surface may simply be months within the abyss. And thus, she's certain that Liza is still alive. Riko joyfully rushes towards Ozen to give her a hug but gets plonked on the head. On her way out, she quickly mentions 3 more white whistles that they're certain to encounter in the lower levels: Wakuna the Chosen, Srajo the Mysterious, and finally, Bondrewd the Novel. She warns the pair to be mindful of these legends, as they may not be as nice as she is. Reg makes a cheeky retort and gets plonked on the head as well for his troubles. Later on in Ozen's quarters, the White Whistle gives Riko her mother's powerful legendary weapon, the everlasting pickaxe known as the Blaze Reaper. And as the two thank her after she offers to teach them how to use it, Ozen unveils all manner of treasured secrets about the mysteries of the abyss that have been passed down over generations between White Whistles. The following day, as Ozen's subordinates bid the pair farewell, Marulk tearfully tells her new friends to not be ashamed to give up on their adventure and return if it gets too dangerous. And as the episode comes to an end, we see Ozen's memory of Liza as we watch Riko and Reg prepare to depart onto the next stage of their journey as they stand before the precipice of the Great Fault. We find ourselves within the orphanage where we see Nat, Kiyui, and Shiggy morosely wandering about the well-being and progress of their friends. Eventually, coming to the conclusion, they must have arrived at the Great Fault by now. Our dauntless duo delve further down the fault, eventually landing within a cave. Looking through an opening at the Great Chasm, we see multitudes of deadly flying creatures above and below. Riko ties up a bunch of squirrel-like creatures and launches them outwards. And as the predators swarm their new meal, they descend into the lower cave systems. The pair follow a group of these somewhat docile creatures, eventually arriving at a larger opening where the little girl's curiosity is sparked as they unexpectedly find themselves within the decaying relic of a ship protruding through the walls of the fault. And as Riko excitedly rushes forward in search of treasures, she steps on what looks like shit. Her extensive knowledge of the abyss kicks in once more as she quickly realizes that this excrement denotes the presence of yet another vicious predator known as a Madoka Jack. The creature launches itself at the little girl, but Reg knocks it back down with a powerful blow. Just when he's about to unleash a fiery blast on it, the robot boy remembers Ozen's warning about him losing consciousness, and so he unleashes a precise blast on the creature, ensuring its demise. Just when they think they're out of danger, the very same Splitjaw that Reg attacked when the two first met barges into the cave. The creature seems to have the memory of an elephant and seemingly seeks vengeance. They make a run for it, squeezing through tight openings as the creature smashes its way towards them until they eventually fall down a small shaft. Reg expectedly passes out, and as Riko drags him onwards, she eventually finds herself before an opening. The little girl hastily makes her way upwards towards the light, and as a result, suffers from the curse as she climbs. Experiencing lethargy, sickness, and even hallucinations, she walks past her friends from the orphanage, past Ozen, Hablong, and even her mother. And as the robot boy slowly wakes, they're once again confronted by the Splitjaw. Riko quickly takes out her mother's weapon, and as she prepares to confront the charging beast, Reg launches himself at it. The girl throws the weapon to her friend, and the robot boy smashes the Blaze Reaper into the creature's side as a powerful blast is unleashed upon the beast, causing it to fall to its demise below. The episode comes to an end with the two friends gaining a moment of respite. They smile at one another as they come to the important realization that together they may just be able to survive this endeavor. And so they soldier on until they find themselves before the entrance to the Goblet of Giants.